So someone recently asked what's the difference between UI UX design, given that both terms are sometimes used interchangeably. But trust me, UX and UI are completely different things, and in this video I'm going to be talking about what UX is, what UI is, what the differences are, and what does the role of a UI designer entail as opposed to a UX designer. Just a little introduction, my name's Nicole, and we recently posted a really comprehensive post on this topic on our Instagram, so do check it out. I also do have COVID. I'm recovering from it, so do pardon me if I sound a bit breathless. Anyway, let's get started. So what is UX design? UX design refers to user experience design. So user experience design is the process of developing or improving all the different interactions between the user and the company or the brand or the product. So user experience can be the user's experience between the product and themselves and how they feel about the product, but it can also be how customer service is between the company and the user, for example. That's also still a part of user experience. So user experience is not about the visuals of the product itself. It definitely is more about the overall experience for the user. So in light of that, what is UI? UI design refers to user interface design. So as the name suggests, user interface definitely refers to the digital interface itself. It's very much more digital as opposed to an overall experience like UX is. So UI design considers all the visual and interactive elements that are on the product's interface itself, things like buttons, backgrounds, colors, branding, anything visual on the product. And as a UI designer, your responsibility is to ensure that the interface is consistent, coherent, and aesthetically pleasing. Speaking of UI designer, I think now is a good time to talk about what a UX designer does and what a UI designer does typically. So what does a UX designer do? There are a lot of things that come into play when you are doing user research, and the UX designer is usually the one in charge of all of this. Things like competitor analysis, market research, understanding the users, doing user testing, interviews, prototyping and wireframing, all kinds of analysis, iteration, and heuristic evaluations. All this are usually done by the UX designer, so it's a lot more analytical and a lot more research based, whereas as a UI designer, you're more in charge of the visuals and the design of the applications. So while there's still research and analytics in your job role, it's much more about the user interface. So prototyping and designing is probably the core of your role. You might be working with a lot of wireframing and prototyping software, things like Figma, Adobe XD, definitely a lot of UI prototyping, and perhaps even doing the interactions and animations. So that's all for this video. I hope that answered your question, the person who asked this, and I really welcome all questions, so please do comment below if you'd like me to give some input into any of your questions. So that's all for now. See you guys in the next video.